Shalom. First and foremost, giving all praises, honor, glory, and worship unto Yahweh, Bahasham Yahushai, Bahasham Chakudash. Double honors unto the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone, and greetings and salutations unto you, Achim, upholding the testimony of our Lord and Savior, Yahweh Shemashiach, in truth and in sincerity. All right, this is breaking news, prophecy update, current events, what's taking place. All right, the Israelis have striked a facility in the state of Qatar, all right, which was supposedly housing some Hamas officials. Nevertheless, they have strike sovereign territory of Qatar, which is a Gulf nation, an Arab nation, an ally of America, and also ally of the majority of the Arab world. And this is escalation in the Middle East. Just when things seem to be calming down, simmering down, bam! And now things are hot again. And this is going to lead to the war of Armageddon. The nations are taking their sides. One thing that can be learned from this situation is that for the Arabs is that the Americans are not your friends, are not good allies, because the Americans didn't even have the courtesy to warn the Qatar services that a strike was impending and coming in, and so that's a bad ally, and so Qatar will have to choose sides and side with the Russians. That's exactly what they're going to have to do. And the Arab nations that see this, they're going to say, we can't trust the Americans. And they're right when they say that, because they can't. It's going to cause them to side with the Russians in World War III. And they was inside with the Iranians. All right. So you see right here, this is Al Jazeera English, says Arab dignitaries head to Qatar to show solidarity in wake of Israel's attack in Doha, which I believe is the capital of Qatar. And let's get some scriptures. All right, let's go to Jeremiah 49 and 20. And for us, we're excited about these things because we know that the kingdom is about to be established. We think big picture. Yes, you look at these situations, and it's a lot, and when you really understand the gravity of what this can and will lead to. But in actuality, when you understand the biggest picture, not the big picture, but the biggest picture, you know this will lead to the return of the Messiah. This is Jeremiah chapter 49, verse, pardon me, Jeremiah chapter 49, verse 20. Therefore, hear the counsel of Yahweh that he hath taken against Edom. And the Edomites are those small hats, those Israelis. They're not Jews, they descend from Edom. All right. Those are Amalekites. All right. It says, in his purpose that he hath purposed against the inhabitants of Teman, All right, which the habitants of Teman represent the nuclear scientists. These people who created these nuclear missiles and are in charge of the deployment of the nuclear technology. It says, "Surely the least of the flock shall draw them out." The least of the flock is who? It's speaking of the Israelis. All right, the small hats. They are the least of the flock. That small little state of what they call Israel, which they're not Israelites. All right, they hijacked our identity. The criminals. It says, "Surely he shall make their habitation their habitation desolate with them." All right, and they're going to bring out the missiles. They're going to bring the nations out for Armageddon. The excuse me, the state of Israel is going to cause World War III to commence. All right. And it said he's going to cause their habitation to become desolate with them because the state of Israel is going to be completely destroyed by missiles. But because America is following the Israelis, America is going to be destroyed utterly by missiles as well. That's why it says, make sure it says, he shall make their habitation desolate with them. Look right here, verse 21. It says, "The earth is moved at the noise of their fall." How's the earth moved? Through the impact of thermonuclear missiles. It says at the cry, the noise thereof was heard in the Red Sea. Right, the noise was heard all the way in the Red Sea because the Israelis are about to get hit by missiles. They're about to get hit by thermonuclear missiles, which is going to have a far-ending of how do you say an extended impact. People are going to be able to hear the effects of that nuclear destruction or that missile strike from hundreds upon hundreds of miles away. Ooh, verse 22, it says, "Behold, he shall come up and fly as the eagle, and spread his wings over Bozrah. And at that day," that's talking about when Yahweh shall return, he gonna come back as a predator. It says, "And that day shall the heart of the mighty man of Edom be as the heart of a woman in her pangs." Yeah, the mighty man of Edom, they're gonna be scared in that day. All this, oh, I'm Mossad, I'm CIA, I'm FBI, I'm this, I'm ICE. They're gonna be scared when Yahweh shall return. Guarantee that. All these talking points and statistics you've been pulling out your backside is not gonna be sufficient for you. The alphabet organization, that's not gonna do you anything when Yahweh shall returns. He's gonna cremate you. I'm just being honest with you. If and when you touch the elect, everything that you love will completely disintegrate, and your worst nightmare will become a living reality. Let's go to the book of Obadiah, chapter 1. Obadiah, chapter 1, verse 1. It says, "The vision of Obadiah. Thus saith the Lord Yahweh concerning Edom." So again, this is pertaining to Edom. Who are the Edomites? The self-proclaimed white race. Is it about skin color? No, it's not about skin color. We told you this a long time ago. It's not about skin color. Who are the Edomites? The Americans, NATO, EU, the Israelis. Is it about skin color? No. Who are the Edomites? The self-proclaimed white race. Those who are descendants of Edom. All right. It says, we have heard a rumor from the Lord, and an ambassador is sent among the heathen. Arise ye, and let us rise up against her in battle. See, that's what the nations are saying. Let's rise up against the Israelis in battle. It says, behold, I have made thee small among the heathen. The Israelis have been made small. At one time, everybody loved the small hats. People thought the small hats were good people. But now everybody's like, these guys are devils. These guys are evil. These guys are sinister. These guys are terrible human beings, which they're right in that. They're correct. Now people can see through the facade and they see how filthy these small hats and evil these small hats are. So that's why it says, behold, I have made thee small among the heathen. Small meaning insignificant. Thou art greatly despised. See what they're doing to in Gaza, what they just did in Qatar, all this other stuff that people are starting to find out what the small hats are doing with the controlling the banks and putting people into usury and destroying economies and causing famines and taking away people's freedoms and pushing LGBT and all this other stuff these small hat Israelis are doing. All right. It says, thou art greatly despised. Yeah, people despise them. You know, setting up assassination attempt, accusing people, lying on people, murdering, all right, controlling the food, putting chemicals in the food, putting pesticides and carcinogens in our food, causing cancer, putting chemicals in the JAB. Everybody's like, look at these guys. These guys are terrible human beings. And when people say that, they're right. They're not wrong. They're right. They're right. Verse 3, it says, the pride of thine heart have deceived thee. We told you guys you're not what you think you are. The press briefings that you read your own press briefing, patting yourself on the back. Oh, I got AI. I got this technology. We can see in this. We can predict. Well, can you predict this? Can you predict your downfall? The pride of thine heart have deceived thee. Thou that dwellest in the clefts of the rock. And dwelling in the clefts of the rock is speaking of them being in a fortified position on the earth. All right, them being the in hierarchy on the planet Earth. It says whose habitation is high, meaning they're rich, they have an abundance. It says that saith in his heart, who shall bring me down to the ground? They're saying who's gonna take us out of power? That's what the small hats say. Verse 4, it says, though thou exalt thyself as the eagle, which we know oftentimes the symbol of the Edomite infrastructure, such as America, Britain, Spain, um, Greece is the eagle, but this applies to their technology, their satellites, their drones. All right, in the spirit, that's what it applies to that as well in the physical sense. All right, their planes, their reconnaissance craft, aircraft. It says and though thou set thy nest amongst the stars, which is speaking of their drone technology, their satellites, as I said, which this applies in the spirit too to 1969, with the so-called space landing, I mean the moon landing, so-called. It also applies to America now setting up the sixth branch of the U.S. military, the Space Force. All right, but it says, "Thence will I bring thee down," saith Yahweh. And they started to go down in '69, but they're really going down now with the establishment of the Space Force and their technology that they're using for AI, which a lot of it is satellite based for their Charagma system for the MOTB, for the Mark of the Beast. They need satellites to manage the data and manage the people. All right. So the Lord's he's about to take these Edomites down. 2 Peter 3:10. And what's bringing them down is this ministry, this truth. Us prophesying is what's taking them out of rulership, because it's the testimony of Yahweh. Excuse me. Pardon me. 2 Peter chapter 3, verse 10. But the day of the Lord will come as a thief in the night. That's when Yahweh returns. That's when the nuclear destruction commences. In the which the heavens shall pass away with a great noise, which the heavens represents the rulership, those who are set on high. It says, and the elements shall melt with fervent heat. That's speaking through thermonuclear missiles. And the earth also and the works that are therein shall be burned up. All right, so these Edomites and their enterprise is going to be destroyed. Verse 11, seeing then that all these things shall be dissolved. So we shouldn't be prioritizing us, our flesh in this world, we shouldn't be putting this world first, essentially, because this society is going to be destroyed. And if you're joined to the society mentally, then you're going to be destroyed with it. It says, the earth also and the works that therein shall be burned up. We go back to verse 11. It says, seeing then that all these things shall be dissolved through missiles. It says, what manner of persons ought ye to be in all holy conversation and godliness? All right, so that's our conduct is supposed to be clean, upright. All right, separate from this world, because this is a losing world. This is an incompetent world. All right, so Lord, when this lesson was edifying, giving all praises to Yahweh Bashem El Shai, Shalom.